Compassion literally has the potential to transform the entire human race within weeks, if not days. But humanity has to choose to step into it. And we cannot step into it if we are struggling with deciding who is and isn't worthy of our compassion. Jesus is even saying in this moment, he's saying, compassion is a tool for you to use when you want to reclaim your sovereignty. Can't be in a fully conscious state if you are following anything you've been taught to believe. So ultimately, we're going to be overcoming that for our whole lives right now. Life right now is uncomfortable for one reason and one reason alone, because you have been taught that change is uncomfortable. That belief right there goes entirely against your natural state of being. Why? Because you are an explorer of consciousness. You came here to explore your potential, which means every single moment of your existence is meant to include change. And it's meant to include change in a way that challenges you to become more than you were in the moment before. Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Bickers. This is part 37 of the story of creation. So today, let's see, we've got, it's really cool. Jesus is back. And so Jesus, holds the energy of compassion for this entire universe. Okay. And he was a real front runner, if you will, right? One of the leaders of our existence energetically, okay, for the last 5,000 years, okay? And so when he came into a physical existence, it was part of his journey. It was part of his understanding of, let me bring back conscious awareness of the truth of who we are, okay? Now, why did he come in and why does compassion play such a role? It's very important because compassion is understanding we are all on individual journeys and we are meant to be exploring our own pure potential. Okay? So compassion does not need anyone to be other than they are. It also has zero pity. So there's zero room for discomfort when other people are going through mental, emotional, and physical challenges. Okay? This is foundational in understanding existence. Why? Because the creator himself is sharing, his intention for creating the vibration of compassion. We use the word compassion to describe the vibration and frequency of the energy, okay? Universal energy. But compassion is fundamentally what allows us to work together. And if you recognize that we're a soul, you're a soul, and we're all souls, and we're here to explore our own potential, okay? How does working together fit? And this is probably one of the biggest questions. They're showing me this is one of the biggest questions in human existence right now, because we constantly struggle with either we're competing against someone else or we're trying to be like someone else, rather than understanding that we're all meant to work together. Now, the trick is working together does not mean we all do the same thing at the same time. Okay? And again, that education system has taught us that this is how we work together, right? So they want you to start thinking about it like sports, okay? So if you have a basketball team or a football team or a hockey team, every player on the team has their own very specific role, okay? They can't all be centers. They can't all be goalies. defense and forwards or whatever it is. I don't really know all of the terms for American football, so pardon my ignorance in that area. But they want you to start thinking about existence as a team made up of billions of souls. Okay. So when you allow yourself to recognize billions of souls, this is where your mind can relax a little bit, for one. But also understand that this universe, this experience is so much bigger than your mind can comprehend, right? You have, depending on the sport, you have 10, 15, 20, 30 players on a team, okay, depending on what it is. Compare that to billions, like 50 billion, billion, okay? Um, this is fundamental. And this is super important because when you understand, so billion compared to millions, there's people doing the math on this recently. I've seen it. It's kind of interesting that this is coming up today, but they talk about how many is a million seconds, and how many is a billion seconds, right? One is months, and one is like decades. So it's understanding that this is the soul count that we are working with, but understanding that that's how many players are on the team. So this concept of we are all one, yes, we're on the same team. Our job is to participate in how we were created, how you were created, not scheming and trying to fit, okay? Because it's understanding that the creator who understands the creation and all the nuances, right? So fully conscious, okay, has a full awareness of who everyone is and what they need to fulfill their journey. This is extremely important because when you understand that by being you and fulfilling your destiny, which is ultimately exploring your potential, okay, you're contributing to evolution. And I know that that's tricky for our brains to comprehend, but everything you do goes into this well of awareness, right? And that well is consciousness. Okay, there's a recording of every event in existence. They don't get erased. This concept, I was came across this discussion on quantum entanglement the other day, and they were, science was saying that, if there's an event and then all of a sudden someone's watching that event can be changed. It's not exactly correct, but also it no event can be erased and nothing can be changed. Okay, you can't go back and delete something, right? They've taught us that you can do that, right? By using technology, they've trained our brains to think, oh my gosh, I can delete anything I want. No, you can't delete anything because everything you do is fed into consciousness itself, right? So think of consciousness as, you can think about it as a library or a well, or, you can think about it as a big, huge pot and everything goes in it. But if you think about it as a library for a minute, okay, it's understanding that when you're in a state of full consciousness between your human physical lives, okay, you go to this library, okay, you understand who you are, you understand your purpose and your reason for existence. So what you're meant to be exploring, because it's part of your nature, it's part of who you are. So how do you know what that looks like in your physical life? Whatever you're interested in. And here's the thing, they don't have to look like, maybe you're interested in 5 different things or 6 or 10 or whatever. You've done so many different things in your life. And people are like, none of those connect. Like, where's the connection? The connection doesn't have to be on the physical side. Energetically, there is always a connection to what you're learning. For me, example, I was in customer service for, that was my first job and it was my whole job. I worked in the food industry, I worked in textiles, I worked in operations management for big companies. But here's the thing, every one of them was teaching me about humans, about how humans communicate, about how humans exist, about how humans participate in life. So, as much as they wouldn't have looked, you know, similar to someone else, it's understanding that on a soul level, everything was connected. Okay. And so, when you allow yourself to really sit back and instead of trying to put the pieces together or connect the dots, it's allowing yourself to begin to feel the energy of existence. Because the energy of existence is the foundation of your creation. Okay, so yes, your physical cells, but also your intellect, your intentions are in, they're hidden in there, hidden only because you're not in a fully conscious state. Okay. You can't be in a fully conscious state if you are following anything you've been taught to believe. Okay. So ultimately, we're going to be overcoming that for our whole lives right now. And probably they're showing me maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10 more generations, but every generation will be closer. Now, we are also thousands of generations into the manipulation. So, you know, to have to be able to do it in a dozen generations to come out of this is massive, and it's hugely significant. But it's understanding and recognizing that right now your role, your participation in, they're showing like recreating yourself. Okay, what does that even mean? It means, you know reconnecting with the origins of who you were created to be, with the vibrations and the frequencies and the awareness. Okay. In order to reconnect with the awareness and the wisdom of the universe, you need to allow yourself to feel the vibration compassion. Because pure compassion on a universal level does not manipulate what we hear. It does not misunderstand. Okay. It allows for communication to be pure, concise, and thorough. And this is what Jesus came in to his intention was to reignite this awareness in human existence. And, you know, it failed. His mission failed ultimately because the manipulation was still too thick. So, in the background, what started happening was all of our souls, okay, your soul, my soul, everyone's soul, started going, okay, we're going to have more of a movement rather than a leader, right? So, it's about having a movement where humans come in with varying degrees of conscious awareness. We needed to come back in with more consciousness. And we also needed to write our stories. And in the sense of that, it's choosing, the humans that we were born to, choosing our circumstances, choosing our geographical locations strategically to encourage a reawakening in the life that we were living. Okay. Why was this happening? Why was this that vital to our success, really? Because when you are in a life experience, okay, and you come up against a significant challenge, you become a different person, one way or the other. No matter which way you do, whether you choose to walk away and fold, or whether you choose to rise and overcome, one way or the other, you are becoming a different person. You are choosing to participate in life and existence in a different way. When you overcome, okay, you're choosing to participate in evolution. And it's understanding that this was the key. This was the focus that really they brought into effect about 1500 years ago, 15, 16, give or take. And the reason that they brought this dynamic into existence, okay, is so when I say they brought it into existence, okay, they want me to explain that a little bit more. They're showing me they fed that energy. So every soul in existence fed that energy into the lives they were going to come into. So you, as a soul in between lives, would have said, okay, I need to trigger awakening. Which awakening is just a greater aspect and understanding of consciousness. Okay, so I need to trigger that. So these are the circumstances I'm going to set up. Now it's understanding that each of us, okay, are still creating a life that is in alignment with our soul's intention, right? So, what it is that we're meant to be exploring. So, now you combine what you're meant to be exploring with triggering of awakening experiences. So, these are, oftentimes you hear them that they were like significant, specific. Some are near death experiences, some are they're talking to God experiences. Some are all over the place, right? Seeing ET, seeing uh, Bigfoot, it doesn't matter. Sasquatch. Some of them are very dramatic on the external. Some of them are very spiritual. And sometimes it's significant healing. Like they were literally going to die, and they healed a disease in their body. Okay, it's understanding that you created that opportunity for yourself, and then you chose to rise. And right now, there's a lot of people who are struggling with this choice. Do we rise or do we run? Right? That fight or flight is significant. And compassion is the key. Why is compassion the key? Because compassion is what will allow you to see the truth, not need it to be anything other than it is, and propel you into participation. Okay, because it doesn't need you to be anything that other than you are. It needs you to recognize who you are, and it allows for that to transpire. But when humans use compassion, they use it in the form of pity. Okay, and when pity is delivered or thrown around, right, it's thrown around as, oh, I'm so sorry you're having to go through this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you know what I'm so sorry means? You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes to overcome this dynamic in your life. Why? Why do we act that way? Why do we think that way? Because we've been strategically trained. Because these dark forces, if you will, knew we could do this. They knew we can overcome. They knew we can rise over manipulation like that, as long as we don't second guess ourselves. And so all they had to do was teach you to second guess yourself. And if you teach someone to hold the energy and vibration of pity rather than compassion, you're going to teach them to poison themselves and their journey every single step of the way. Healing. So we've been working both on the physical body in the last bunch of episodes. And now we've been working on both, right? Simultaneously. It's the physical, the mental, and the emotional, while encouraging your awareness of consciousness, which is the spiritual, to rise. Okay. The challenge here, okay, in reclaiming compassion, if you will, is that you have to let go of every belief you have, even about consciousness itself. It's understanding and recognizing that it is so much more finite, dynamic, and intricate then our brains have the capacity to understand. So when you find yourself saying, no, it can't be that way, allow yourself to come back and feel into the truth, because the truth is changing, right? The truth, our awareness of the truth is changing. The truth doesn't ever change because it's actually consciousness. But what is changing is our awareness of truth, how we allow ourselves to perceive it. So if you allow yourself to perceive it through a filter, then you're not going to be able to access it. And this is what is changing right now the most, is we're learning how to perceive truth through the vibrations of compassion. Compassion doesn't need truth to be anything other than it is, right? It's the pity vibration of pity version, if you will, of compassion that says, this is my truth, this is your truth, this is their truth. There's no such thing. There's one truth. And so Jesus is even saying in this moment, he's saying, you know, compassion is a tool for you to use when you want to reclaim your sovereignty. It's a higher vibration that allows you to recognize your higher vibration and the vibrations of those around you. It allows you to see people without judgment, without pity, without any sabotage whatsoever. Okay? If you want to be seen for who you are, you want to be able to feel the freedom to explore and express yourself as the pure expression of your soul, then you need to be willing to offer that gift to every human in existence. Every human in existence, free of judgment, manipulation. Okay. So it doesn't mean I'm going to offer it to these people, but this person's bad, so I'm not offering it to them. Because if you are offering judgment in any way, you're not using compassion, you're not embodying compassion. Compassion literally has the potential to transform the entire human race within weeks, if not days. But humanity has to choose to step into it. And we cannot step into it if we are struggling with deciding who is and isn't worthy of our compassion, let alone our respect. And all that you're doing is harming your own joy, your own potential, because you cannot explore your potential if you are holding judgment of other humans. It is absolutely impossible because your vibration isn't in purity. It isn't in compassion. It is in a state of manipulation and control, because you're controlling how you be in the world. And your control intention is to control others. You may not see it that way, but seeing someone as being angry, or, holding back, and the whole concept of boundaries, right? There's no freedom in boundaries. And if you're needing to set boundaries for yourself, if you're needing to explore boundaries, you're still suffering. You're still in a deep, dark sense of pain, and you're holding that anger and using it as judgment towards the world. Even if it's just one person, even if you're just judging one person, okay, you're harming yourself. Here's the thing. I'm not saying you're going to be able to walk around and not be upset with what other people are doing. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm talking about. Awareness and judgment are fundamentally different. Okay. So 12 years ago, when they shared with me, Michelle, you've cleared your energy of judgment of others. Okay. What that means is I can hear anything. I can have experiences. I can have the emotional reaction, but my energy does not go into judgment. It goes into holding space for that experience, because my intention is I want awareness of what's occurring. I don't need to judge the other person. It's not my job. And it has nothing to do with this whole karma belief of, oh, they'll get what's coming to them. I literally am watching evolution occur. I am creating a space where and I'm not holding space for them to act how they're acting. I'm holding space for me. And holding space doesn't mean I'm actively holding the energy for that person. It literally means I'm choosing to be conscious of that experience in that moment, because that moment has come into my space, into my awareness for a reason. Sometimes it's because I'm still acting the way that other person's acting, and the universe is saying, see how good this doesn't feel? That's because you need to change it too. But there's no judgment. And a lot of people confuse anger with judgment, or frustration with judgment, but it's not. Okay? Judgment is it's different forms blocking people, right? When you choose, let's say you have a lover and you're having a disagreement and you choose not to connect with that human when they want to try and connect, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically, when you hold yourself back, or you hold the words back, that is you in judgment. Okay, if you're in it's different if you're in a violent relationship that you have to be smart to leave. You can't just leave right away, but your steps are moving towards getting you out of that situation. That's fundamentally different, because you are participating, you're not judging. You're in the truth of, this is the situation, this person is dangerous, and I need to remove myself from that situation. Okay, the point right now is, a lot of us, the way they're saying it is, a lot of us are in dangerous situations, but we're causing them. And what they mean by dangerous is, the danger is, are you going to awaken in this life? Because awakening is a triggering, but you have to go all the way to restoring the full spectrum of consciousness that you have the capacity to participate in, that you were created to participate in. How do you do that? By leading with the vibration of compassion right now. Compassion will help you. It will help you connect with truth. It will ease you through. Now, this is not about holding your hand and making it easier, okay? Because that's, again, a poor me. It's being able to hold your hand and say, come on, let's go. It's like tugging you forward, right? Let's go. You can do this. You got this. You're meant to be doing this. Stop procrastinating. Stop looking for ways to justify why you're not going to show up, why it's uncomfortable. Listen, life right now is uncomfortable for one reason and one reason alone, because you have been taught that change is uncomfortable. That belief right there goes entirely against your natural state of being. Why? Because you are an explorer of consciousness. You came here to explore your potential, which means every single moment of your existence is meant to include change. And it's meant to include change in a way that challenges you to become more than you were in the moment before. That's how big it is. So anytime you find yourself saying, this is too much, this is overwhelming, I can't do this, you can do it. You were created to do it. It's just a belief in you. Then there's a fear. So what? There's a fear. We have fears because of the world that we live in, and we're overcoming them by seeing the truth, by allowing compassion to shine, not by using pity, because pity will make darn sure you stay exactly where you were. Okay? So lead with compassion. Allow your heart to feel the fullness and the truth of who you are. And instead of getting frustrated and angry with the world that can't do that around you, or that maybe won't do that around you, it's allowing yourself to see the potential of the world around you and start participating with that potential. Because that is not only going to change your life, it means that you are actively participating in evolution, and you are now making a significant impact on not only the resurrection of humanity, but the future existence of humankind and the universe itself. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
You do often describe the creator as a being, as a he, and my concept is a more of infinite consciousness. Do you know what I mean? Not personal. And if there's anything that you can say about that, I'd be very interested.
Yeah, actually, it's great. So I say he because the energy is right. So masculine energy is the profound aspect of being. So it's not, and then feminine is flowing. So it's this beingness. It's more solid in its awareness. But when I say he, I don't mean in a man physical form, right? It's it's the vastness of vibration and energy of the entire universe. When I see him, it's just a void. It's honestly like a black hole.
Or if I'm coming in from the car to the building, two people were sitting there yesterday. Soon as they saw me, they got in and walked away. So there's no way I could connect.
Right.
So is it because our energies are so different that at this time we are not compatible?
100%.
And as I have heard you say, right now, in this moment, they are not my people.
They are not your people. They are not your people. And
Oh,
that's right. It's being able to take that deep breath and go, oh, not everybody. I don't need to show up for everybody. I don't need
oh,
to. Right? It's
wonderful.
But I wanted to know how you transformed, how you 12 years ago were, what you did to actually no longer be judgmental, to the
yeah.
answer.
Well, the short answer is 8 years of studying human existence from the inside. And when they walked me through healing self-worth, which is it was that's what transformed.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.